Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's Nesben here, bringing you everything that you need to know about the Nclex. So we've started a series of videos where we are trying to understand what one needs to um, register and to write the Nclex-Rn exams. And so in the previous video, which I will link in the description below, we looked at what the Nclex-Rn exams is. And today we'll be looking at how to register for the Nclex-Rn exams as an international nurse or a foreign educated nurse. So it is important to understand that in order to take the board exams for any country, one must first and foremost be a registered nurse in their own country of origin. So if you are from Ghana or you are from Nigeria, in order to be able to be eligible to take the Nclex-Rn exams, you should first and foremost be a registered nurse with an active license in your country. Now, so once you've got your active license in your country, you would need to have your credentials evaluated. What this means is that we would need to compare your nursing license and qualifications to that of the state or the country in which you want to now register for, which in this case is the United States. I need to say that NCLEX is written for some other countries like Canada and Australia as well, but this video is made for people who are seeking to write the NCLEX-Rn exam for the United States of America. So you need to have what we call the credential evaluation. So there are many institutions in the United States where you can have your credentials evaluated. But for this video, I'll be focusing more on just two of those institutions. One is CGFNS and the other one is Joseph Sinley and Associates. So one will ask, what does a CES report entail? So when you got your Credential Evaluation Services Professional Report, these are the things that is going to cover. So one, you're going to have a detailed analysis of your nursing credentials. And because you want to practice as a nurse who is already trained outside of the system, your credentials as a nurse must be evaluated by an institution in the country where you are seeking to practice. This is to help them to what we call compare your qualification and your credentials with that of the United States of America. Number two is that the CES report validates and authenticates all licenses, registrations, and certificates. So it's not only your academic transcripts, it also validates your professional certificates as well as your registration. And then once this has happened, what will happen is that you'll be issued a statement of comparison. And this statement of comparison basically tells us if your credentials are up to what the US entry standards are. And then that is only when you can actually now go ahead and continue with the process. So once you've established you're a nurse in your own country of origin, the next thing will be to get a CES report. And we said we can get that from many institutions, but usually CGFNS and Joseph Sinley and Associates are the main ones most people use. And then once your credentials are evaluated, you get a statement of comparison, which tells the nursing board you would like to register with whether or not your credentials are up to that of the US. Now, in this video, we are focusing on the CGFNS and Joseph Sinley and Associates. So I need to say that there are fees involved, and as at the time of this video, to get a credential report from CGFNS, it will cost you $485. And for Joseph Sinley and Associates, it should cost you $400 to get a credential report. Now, I must say that these fees vary. And so at the time you are watching this video and you want to have this service done, you should go onto their website and check their prices. Next up, we want to look at the documents you need for your credential evaluation professional report. Now, it is important to understand that depending on the state you want to register for, some of these documents may not be required. So the first one will be your academic transcripts. So we get all your academic transcripts. And what happens is that we look at your clinical hours and your in-class hours together and the courses you studied and see if that matches up with that of the US nursing education system. You would also need your diploma or your BSN and all relevant certificates. So because it's a credential evaluation, you want to give them as much information as they need so they are able to authenticate your um, licenses and your certificates. Now, you would also need a verification from your board of nursing in order for them to say that yes, indeed, this person is a license holder in this country and has got an active license. You would also need a copy of your passport. Now, because it is an international registration, you know that you would always need your passport for any of these registration processes. And the final one I will talk about, which not all states will require, it's an English language exams. So some states would require you to prove your English language credentials. And so depending on the state and then the requirements that are needed, some countries would not require an English exams. And I need to add that on top of these, all the documents you need to submit should actually be translated into English. So if you've got a document that is not in English, you will need to have it translated into English for it to be accepted for the credential evaluation report. So once you've got a CES report, then what next? We did say it's one of the fundamental things you will need, but if I have that, then what next? So after you've gotten your CES report, you now need to register with a board of nursing. Now there are 52 states in the United States of America, and every state has got its own board of nursing. And so depending on which state you are seeking to get registration for, you would need to go onto their website to find out the information and the fees that are involved in the registration process. So I need to say that licenses can be transferred, and so you want to look out for the state that best suits you at the time of registration. And once you've got a license, if you need to transfer, you are able to do so. Now, the other thing you need is what we call the fingerprinting exercise or the fingerprinting form. So basically, it's just you taking your fingerprints and sending it over to the board of nursing. Usually, you will do that to an intermediary institution like Accurate Biometrics, and then once they verified your fingerprints, they then send it to the board of nursing. Now, once you have these two things done, your fingerprinting and the registration, you now need to wait for approval. So it takes different states, different timings to approve a registration. And so once your registration is approved, then you can now move on to the actual exams. So congratulations, you've got your CES report and your Board of Nursing approval. Now we need to move on to registering for the NCLEX. So you need to actually register for the NCLEX, which is usually $200. Once you've received all these documents, we need to now wait for what we call the authorization to test. And usually this comes once you've done your registration for the NCLEX. So you receive an authorization to test, what we call the ATT, and that gives you now the go ahead to register and to take the NCLEX exams. So once you've received your ATT, you will now need to schedule an exams. Now, usually the ATT is valid for a certain period. So you have some states giving ATTs for up to 6 months validity. Some have got just 3-month validities, and others have got 6 weeks validity. So what you want to do is you want to be adequately prepared. So usually by the time you are going through all this process, it is necessary or it is wise for you to be doing your NCLEX preparations alongside, so that once you receive your ATT, you are able to schedule an exams quickly enough, because by that time you would have, because at that time you would have been adequately prepared and ready to take the NCLEX exams. And once you pass, you become a US RN. So I'm just going to briefly summarize what we've gone through today. So we looked at how you can register for the Nclex-Rn exams as a registered nurse trained outside of the United States. And we said the very first thing you need to do is to have your credentials evaluated. So your license and your educational transcripts needs to be evaluated and deemed to be equal to that of the United States. And usually you can do this through CGFNS or Josephson Lee and Associates. Now the second thing would be to register with the Board of Nursing. Now the registration with the Board of Nursing would need a fingerprinting exercise done, and as well you need to register for the NCLEX. So once you register for the Board of Nursing, you receive your approval, you need to now register to take the NCLEX. Then you receive what we call the ATT, authorization to test, after which you can then schedule and write the Nclex-Rn exam. So basically, in brief, that is how, and that is the process you go through in order to become eligible to take the Nclex-Rn exams. So that's all this video is about. If you've got any questions, any concerns, do well to leave a comment down below, and then I'll come through and answer all questions to the best of my ability. Now, if you felt this video gave you value for your time, I want you to like, subscribe to the channel, and share, because on this channel we look at anything and everything Nclex-Rn exams. In subsequent videos, we'll be looking at content for the NCLEX itself. So you don't want to miss that. You want to stay around, and we'll see you in the next video.